The Finnish junior hockey system consists of over 7 junior hockey leagues. Their names are very similar to the 3 pro leagues in Finland, with the first being the Junior A SM-Liiga, the second being the Junior A Mestis, and the third being the Junior A Suomi-sarja. Each pro team also has a junior team, with the best also having up to 2 teams for each age category. One of the key points of the Finnish development system is the very early integration of the young talents into the pro teams. Some of the best and most recent examples is Kaapo Kakko and Patrik Laine. Patrik Laine played in the Junior A SM-Liiga when he was 15. Then he moved on to play a season in the Mestis, then in the Liiga, and then in the NHL. Kaapo Kakko played in the Junior A SM-Liiga when he was 16. Then he played in the Liiga and then in the NHL. These are some very good examples of building a step-by-step NHL star. The hockey players in Finland are expected to be very independent at a young age, as they need to rent their own apartments and organize the schoolwork on their own. There is no real import rules in the junior hockey development system, as the imports are merely an exception, as they have so many junior talents to fill their roster that they don't need to look elsewhere. Our next interview is with Jarkko Valinkoski. Jarkko is a coach for the junior team of TPS Turku, which is a highly respected hockey program in Finland. It will be very interesting to hear from him his experiences as a coach and what he has to tell us about the Finnish system. So hello Jarkko, thanks for being here today.
Hey Martin, it's nice to be here.
Yeah, so the first question will be, what do you coach exactly and where do you get your players from?
Okay, so I coach in Turku, TPS Youth 20 Academy team. Most of our players are from the Turku region, and we have tryouts, but
do you just look for local players or you also look or recruit international players?
We watch them play for a good time, a good while, and they either contact us
for your players, or do they have to organize an apartment or something by themselves?
And that's basically how the routine goes. We have had a couple of Italian players. We had an Estonian goalie last year, so we are familiar with guys from abroad as well.
Do you just look for local players, or do you also look or recruit international players?
Well, we don't turn around anybody. We appreciate a player that is eager, willing to get a spot in the tryouts, that wants to come to Finland to play, rather than we're going to go out and seek for the guys for themselves. I think that's one big reason why the Finnish players might be ahead, if I might say, for the Central European players, because the guys are just being there so long, played with the same guys, and the routines are a bit better. But we don't call anybody special. We want the guys to be independent for themselves.
Do you have dorms for your players, or do they have to organize an apartment or something by themselves?
Basically, we've got our club has guys that usually help the youngsters that come from either from outside of Finland or somewhere else in Finland to seek for schooling that is best for them. Dormitories in Finland, we don't have dormitories, but of course we've got housing services, stuff like that, rental places that the guys stay alone or with somebody else for the season that they're here for. And but the schooling system doesn't cost. Only thing that costs for the player to get an education or a degree is that he has to buy his or her books. So the study material is the only thing that costs in Finland.
Is the hockey program coordinated with the school, or is the school something that every player needs to organize for himself?
Yeah, Finland has public schooling, so everything comes from the state government. Everything is run by that, and the same thing as in hockey. I'd say that the guys that or girls that are above 15 will have to be independent. Of course, they get help from coaches or the club members, but the more independent the youngsters are, the easier to get along will be.
Yeah, so when the players turn pro at maybe 19 or 20, do you as an organization help them to get a pro contract? Or is that something that the player needs to get an agent or find by himself?
Well, it depends on an individual. Again, of course, if the player asks for recommendations, we will give him or her the recommendations they seek for, and try to get them connected to whichever level I or we feel that they should play at or in. During the years that we coach guys, we get a pretty good view on what to develop and where you're good at, and that's why we have one-on-one conversation with all of our players about their future or upcoming things and the things that make it easier for them to get better as a hockey player or just as a person in the whole. So we help, but in Finland, the guys that are seeking pro contracts, the Finnish players, they usually have agents doing that stuff for themselves.
As we compare the Finnish junior hockey system as a whole with other countries such as Sweden or Canada and so on, do you see something special about Finland that makes it so good?
I played in the States for a year as I was an exchange student, and I've been tryouting in Canada for the Quebec juniors. But I should say that the Finnish players, the individual level of hockey, the awareness of the others and similar style of play is in hockey the biggest reason why we've succeeded so well. Of course, we've got great individuals as well, but as a whole, the team is one organism, if I would say that. It doesn't have only one guy or two guys. The bottom line, the fourth line might score and help the team as it goes on. So I'd see that like our bottom and our top guys, the difference in the skill level isn't that big, which might be the reason why we've done a great job. And our goalies are pretty decent as well.
Okay, so it's very interesting to hear that you have a very even talent pool. Do you do something as a coach to do that specifically or to level that out?
I see that our national team coaches have tried to gather up a group of guys that support each other instead of getting all the top scorers of different teams or clubs together so that they function as one. And I might say that going along a further way, I love the mental attitude that the Northern American players have. They hate losing and they grind all the way to win the games or whatever. I've seen what they do in Sweden, and I'm more than certain that there will be a lot of good Swedish players coming up in the recent years as well.
So if you look at the last decade of Finnish ice hockey, do you see a positive or negative trend for the various leagues like the Liiga and Mestis?
The last decade, I think that it's a great jumping point for the young guys that are trying out for NHL, KHL in Russia or Central Europe. Like the young guns that we have don't stay here for that long, which is a bad thing for the long haul, but again, good thing for the guys themselves that they have the guts to go out and try and see what happens. But in return, the guys that don't make it outside, they usually go back to Sweden, Elitserien, or Russia, KHL, whatever. The Finnish Liiga isn't, at the moment, I'd say, that interesting for a player to play in.
Okay, so you think that the Liga has become more and more a starting point, whereas to being a destination. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, it's an ending stop for some guys that are old, so old that guys that are 34 plus players, they might come here to play a couple more years and hang their skates after that. But other than that, the Finnish guys are valued outside of Finland pretty good, and well, the pay is better outside. To be like Elitserien as a league in Sweden is, the hockey is better, faster, the guys are stronger, bigger, and you get paid better.
Yeah, so maybe that's also why we see such a young league and such a high turnover between the players, because the players are constantly looking for opportunities abroad, right?
Yeah, it's like I'd say that SM-Liiga at the moment is like somewhat of NCAA in the United States, like college league. That guys are really trying to get a mark on their CV of great place or playing strong, tackling hard, scoring a couple of goals, and when they get that 15 minutes of fame somewhere along the way, they try to establish that and go with it as far as they can from Finland.
Okay, so that was it from our part. Thank you, Jarkko.
No worries. It's nice being here.
Yeah, so that was awesome to have Jarkko here with us today. It was interesting to hear also his perspective as a Finnish coach and see how the Finnish system differs from other countries such as Sweden, Switzerland, and North America.